CryptoCast, Season 2, with your host, Brent Bowers. And welcome back to Secret Studios Podcast, Episode 2, The Morning After. So this is about 11 o'clock a.m. on the morning after we had a rehearsal / recording session / upgrading the studio session yesterday, and in previous days this week prior to us getting together since the last rehearsal, we were able to bring in a second monitor. So we now have kind of a dual monitor set up with the DAW itself, which is, of course, Studio One, as I have mentioned previously. I had several upgrades to come in this week in addition to 2 new monitors. I got a Yamaha P125A digital piano for writing. We already had a very nice Kurzweil keyboard synthesizer combo here, but I was working with 3 independent stands. I have a Motif 8 as well, and I thought, why not get a vertical stand 3 tall so I could, save a lot of room with my keyboards and stations. Because in addition to that keyboard, I have literally within eyesight, I have 3 other keyboards, including like a vintage organ and 3 vintage organs technically. So that's before we get to the keyboard. So that's a total of 6 keyboards. Well, if you count each individual level, it's more than that. But you get my point. We have a lot of keyboards, and that's an element that we don't even, in this group with Mark, of course, there's always one person playing keys, but it's recording tools that really, we're not using them all the time. They just look amazing, and people tend to want to sit down and play them, but they take a lot of space. So in addition to that, right now, within, my view, I see we have probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 amps that I can see. 2 powered speakers, another mixing board, the mixing board that I work on here at the DAW, and sort of a periphery table, extra drums from the old kit, which those are going to be cleaned up and put in the back. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 guitars in view, plus 2 basses. Yeah, so it's a lot of instruments. That's not even getting into all the ukuleles, but it's a lot. So we're basically taking up the front third of a 1,000 square foot room with Secret Studios, and all the work that I'm doing with trying to put the monitors on the wall and get everything as close as it can be to where it's going to be used is to make this space, to maximize the usage of this space, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. So here on the morning after, one of the things that I typically do would be to listen to what we did yesterday. And I will say that yesterday, we ran into some headphone issues, which I'm actually going to take these headphones off so that what you're hearing is what I'm hearing. And that would bypass some of the technical issues that we had. But we had, 5 guys in here yesterday trying to record simultaneously just to lay ideas down. And I like to think that usually we're going to leave with a complete song like we did our first session. But on this occasion, the drummer had a hard stop at 4, even though he stayed an extra hour. God bless you, Will. Appreciate that. Because he was also the one bringing a lot of extra stuff up here this week and, setting his new drums up. But we came down to less time. And you can hear right now, like, there's background noise going on. We're above a nutrition store, and during the day, they're making smoothies and whatnot. At least my ears can hear it. I don't know how much is coming on the podcast mic here, but it's not ideal for recording in those times. So we generally focus on after a certain time on Saturdays, Sundays, and Friday evenings. Now, I already know what this week's going to shake out like because we have a new guy coming in to try out on bass. And, this band is not about money. It's just about putting a creative group of guys together and making music, okay? So if this guy turns out to be, really great or golden, Harrison and I, for the purpose of writing, we don't have to have 3 guys playing guitar. Like, for example, Tim comes and brings his 12-string a lot of times, and that's just a different vibe, if you will. Definitely not required, but I did cut something with it yesterday as a demo for a song, which we're going to listen to a little bit of right here, with me talking over it, of course, because if you don't talk over it, Spreaker platform will not allow you to just play a whole song on your podcast for some reason. let's look at the first, not the first thing we cut, but the first new material we cut yesterday. Now, this was, Mark is sort of the lead voice in this project. Whether I sing some or not remains to be seen. I'm definitely singing backup, but this, I like the idea of me writing some lyrics and just handing it to him. He'd go, here, what do you sing when you see these chords? Play the chords, and what do you come up with vocally? Not giving him the melody, for example. And he'll come up with his own stylized melody, which is very different from mine. So this is one of those. First, we spent some time jamming on the verses, the chords for the verse. And I'm playing a very rudimentary bass part. I just want to say that. So don't judge me. I will refine it. But I'm going to sit here and tweak sounds on the board as we do this. So on the whole, I feel like it's a little low. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit for the podcast. So stylistically, it's very throwback for me. Harrison is playing, I believe, my Seafoam Green Gretsch guitar with 3 double coil pickups. Mark is playing Kirchville synthesizer. I'm playing the bass. I can't tell you the brand off the top of my head. Sorry. And I think that that's about it as far as the drums. And I could certainly add rhythm guitars in, but at this point of the construction of the song, the really important part is to come up with exactly what the words that we're going to kind of tell the story, so to speak. And so I started, as we ran out of time, I started building in hooks like that right there, da-da, da-da. And when we're all tight on that, it'll be a nice little throwback style rock track, I think. I noticed, you can hear me calling out the arrangement to the drummer, but I noticed that we named it Lights in the City. Sounds a whole lot like when the lights go down in the city. And then Mark is just trying to rip off with ideas for changing the vocals. So I actually had a full song written down, like a verse and chorus with, words and everything, but we just took the first line and then just threw everything else out. So that's kind of cool. So I'm not sure how long this is coming out to. So one of the things I have to do right now is to kind of come up with a listenable mix of this and then just run that off to its own track and export it. Send that MP3 file out to the other guys. I think lengthwise we've got a good length going here. It sounds great when he starts playing piano, but he was really just filling it out through most of this. I really wanted it to end right there, and we couldn't quite make that happen. So I'm just going to save the work that I have done. And we always save as a new day when we make edits. So this becomes Lights in the City 4:24 instead of 3:24. That way, if you make a mistake, you can always go back to the day before. And, similar to the way Pro Tools sessions we run at, Snug Records for all our most modern work. Just a good methodology. And that's one of the things that touching the board every day helps me remember. This thing's complicated, guys. We have everything labeled, and I think we've made changes to the way we originally labeled it. So now it's, it needs to be changed again. But that said, we're getting somewhere. So now I'm going to load up something that I really was important to me to get cut. Christian song called King of Light, because we're going to be... I got invited to a sort of singer-songwriter writing session at one of the local churches where I have a few contacts at. So that's going to be next Saturday morning. And I didn't know if folks were just going to walk in and say, well, here's an idea for a song. Let's all kind of work it up. I doubt that's what it is, because that requires like a little bit of trust, and that we're all just kind of new to working together. So I'm thinking they're going to all come in and have these great songs written, and that made me feel a little bit insecure. So I wanted to have at least one in the pocket, brand new for this, and then 2 or 3 partial ideas, so that if it was the other way, they want to take an idea. I'm like, well, here's the title, here's a verse, that sort of thing. But here's what that sounded like. And, the drummer, it was just being introduced to it. It wasn't like we maybe played through it one time. So nothing is like super tight. It's just an idea, and I think I'm probably going to export it without the drums at all. Let me play with this for just a second to get a sound we can kind of listen to. The 12 string sounds great, but man, it's hard to keep those in tune. All right, that's what we're gonna do right there. So I was just using that, by the way, guys, to get that click, because we're not using a metronome here. And when things go down with the drummer, as long as that's going to be the drums, that's okay. That's the only time that's okay. We've had some difficulty getting click tracks to work the way we want, as far as being listenable in everybody's headphones, which I know it's something technical, and we'll get through it. But man, what an annoyance. Okay, so we have one track which is just my lead vocal and acoustic guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with soloing the lead vocal. Okay, I'm going to solo the acoustic line in, so no bleed through on that. And we'll see how much drums are on this lead vocal. Not bad, not bad. I'm actually pretty impressed with the fact that there's not a ton of drums all over that vocal, because they were definitely going down at the same time. And one of the things I was going to do today was to retrack those vocals, and I may still do that. But I can give everybody this. Bringing the drums in, which I know he was conscientious about because he didn't have a chance to work it out. No big deal. It's all just for a demo purpose. So if I did recut the vocals, I wouldn't have to have all those talk instructions. That's enough of that, though. I don't want to get this song banned or taken off or whatever. So yeah, that's where it's at with Secret Studios this week. I'll probably spend another hour on this today and have an MP3 presentable to those guys. I think I will retract those vocals. And I'm just like scared of touching things on here. It's real easy to delete the work that you've done. In fact, one of the first things I'm going to do right now is save this under the new title. That way I have the old one to go back to. And it's just updating the date. Kink of Light, 3/4/24. Boom. Now it's safe. I can go back and do my thing. I really wanted to take another pass on that 12 string and just have more of an arpeggiated kind of thing. But I did recognize that we were running out of time. One of the cool things is, because we had the tracks armed for everybody else, I can sit here and look at, I know exactly where to arm the tracks. If I wanted to go over there and play this on piano, I could definitely do it, and that would be easy enough to play. Drum tracks are all identified because the tracks were still armed when we recorded, even though they didn't play. They're all represented here with like blank tracks. So harmony, bass. So yeah, very, very easy. The bass on this would play itself practically. I should probably cut that. Anything that's line in, it's just easier to not have to. Now, obviously, there's things that you don't really record line in. For example, the acoustic has to be mic recorded. Some of these organs have to be recorded with a mic to really get the most beautiful part of it, which is what we're trying to do. But there's flexibility when you have the option to do line in. So what else with Secret Studio? I guess my next approach would be to grab one of the guys at a time, like if Mark comes over this week to lay down some vocals, or when he has the vocals for this, or the lyrics, I should say, to sing the vocals. We'll do that. And knowing that we have a new guy coming to the room next week, next Sunday, this week technically, I guess, I need to go ahead and configure my new powered speakers and my mixing board so that we have an easy way. I don't want to get into the board. It doesn't matter to recording, it doesn't really matter. So I want to get into conversely though, I could have him put a bass on one of these songs, just show him the chords and see what he did, just out of curiosity. Most guys just have to see that you're fairly serious, and we do have to switch out one more monitor, which I believe this old video. So this machine runs on 2011 Windows XP Service Pack 2, because that's what this board was designed to use, and we just made a decision to sort of stay back there, knowing that if you don't constantly update it, PreSonus makes this board. They make it to go with Studio One, an older version of Studio One, which I stuck with instead of getting the subscription. So the idea is that we'll just have a rock solid. By the way, this is a $3,000 board that I only paid $900 for. It's only ever been in one recording studio before this one, so I thought that was an excellent deal, which I found on Reverb, thanks to my buddy Jeff, who turned me on to that, and also turned me on to the idea of this particular setup with this particular board. I think that's great, and so far I'm pleased with it. It's just like I knew it would be. It's more complicated. That said, it's not as complicated as having to have $30,000 in compressors in racks and physically wire that stuff together. That is complicated. There are some components here that we need to improve the quality of. We have some 1/8 inch lines with 1/4 inch adapters that I think I'd like to take out of the mix and just get 1/4 inch all the way. When I figure out what all that is, we need to make a list. We're going to eventually get there with this studio where all the technical aspects of it are handled, and then it's just pure creativity that costs us absolutely nothing to do. So instead of having to coordinate with another studio with a client like we did with, by the way, the Vigil Brothers project, which Harrison and I worked on for over a year at various times, involved them all coming down here from Colorado and parts of California to record sessions, and then us to do like the bulk of the playing and fix all the stuff and do a lot of afterwards work. We just dropped that album on iTunes, Spotify, all your major spots, released through DistroKid. It's called The Vigil Brothers Down the Road, and pretty proud of the work we did on that. But this next time around, I'd rather do a different kind of project with them instead of emulating what we've already done, which was to make this really refined product. I think it would be cool if we got some simpler songs that they could just play or at least sing on, and we have the live band, until we come up with a better title. We're going to call these guys the Legends, because we're going to be playing pretty much exclusively at Loafers and Legends on the deck, or anywhere that'll have us, that it consists of a good salubrious environment. I still get invites to play at places that are like, hey, come play for tips. And I'm like, I haven't played for tips in 3 years. Tips are nice, but that's after you get paid for what it costs you to go do it, And so I think I'm probably going to decline that, even though it's a cool spot. I think I'm probably going to decline that and just stick to playing as fill-in at Loafers and Legends. I mean, I played I'm not complaining about it. Just pointing out that it gets a little tedious and you want to do new things, which is probably why I'm back here trying to make a band work again. But I've played every month at Loafers and Legends for about 3 years now, and I'm happy to step back from that a little bit and book other interesting acts in there, which, by the way, we saw Angel Paez and Greg Sales, and they did a great job. Really, really fun to watch them play Saturday night. And there was another kid named, I think, Zach, I don't know his last name, sorry, that the karaoke people brought in when they weren't going to be there Friday night. He did a great job as well. I try to get out there to see everybody. So, yeah. Very, very cool. Hope you guys are following Loafers and Legends Restaurant on Facebook for all the booking information. You can reach out to me if you were local and you'd like to play there too, by the way, because I do the booking. But, yeah, I guess that kind of covers it for episode 2 of Secret Studio Podcast, if you will. I'm getting a little bit sleepy. It's funny because I got super sleepy at the end of the session yesterday, but it was all the extra up and down, carrying boxes, carrying product up here. I feel like I've been doing it all week, but getting back to the regular working week right now, I will point out something else that I've decided to start doing. So I keep up with all of my songs. Usually when I come up with what they're going to be, I'll put it on Dropbox, but I have a granddaughter about to be 5, which we're functionally raising. And I realized recently that my dad, who passed away 8 years ago, only left us one little sample of his handwriting in a note that he included inside of a pocket knife box for my son, and Liam has pinned that to his wall, and it's the only example of his handwriting that I had, and I thought, how sad. So, you know, Delilah, when I'm gone, stuff like this is going to go to her in a box. I'm going to keep up with my art that you can actually, things that I've sketched or things that I've actually written with my hands. So for this project of Christian music, I want to write all of the lyrics by hand once they're worked out with the chords in a book, and then she'll just be able to check that out if she wants, and she can just see that it's in my hand. I just think that's kind of cool. Personal, you know, a little more personal than just looking at it on a printout or typed up document. But yeah, so this week we'll just be messing with this and the board and the control center brain, if you will, of Secret Studios. I tried to record this song on the R20 over there, the R20 Zoom, which I know how to operate very well, but when I sang the backing vocals, they got off time. It was very, very strange. Rarely have I seen that, but I think it might have been because I was switching back and forth between the wave view mode and the track view mode. Harrison favors the wave view mode because you can pinch it and like there's little extra functionality on that. I could see why he likes it, but me, I like to see the track because it shows me the feedback, whether or not I'm peaking out or the signal's too low, and that's generally how I watch it. But now we can be in like the recording view and the mix view simultaneously with two monitors, so that is actually really optimal. I mean, I guess it would be possible if you had the right video card to go with 4 monitors, and you still could probably use all that stuff, but it's not needed. I think down the road, I might migrate these 2 monitors to a big curved gaming monitor, because basically for what I spent for 2 monitors, I could have had that one, but I've already got this dual adjustable, movable, positionable rack, which I went to the trouble of putting up years ago. And I had these old beefy monitors that have just the stand taken off as much as you could take it off, but it's still underneath it, and that doesn't look really cool. So now I have the sleek Philips monitors. When I replace the old one here, it'll probably just be thrown out, and I will keep the other one, the other Dell, because it's bigger and it has a stand on it. I'll just keep that for using with a laptop if I ever need to. But slowly but surely, again, we are dialing this in, and everything that we need is here. It's just a matter of making it all work in harmony with one another and getting all the components. Like we've got an interface over there that I'll probably never use again. Getting all the components we're not using sort of tucked away in the behind the walls kind of a thing. But Secret Studios is a dream come true, let me tell you, and it's just getting better every time we use it. So that is what we have for you for episode 2, and hopefully I'll have a guest spot on here for episode 3, and I'll have some more direct music that you can listen to. But that'll do it for us this week. Hope you guys are having a great one and you're making strides with your own music. Thanks for listening.